$250 million vanished. Now, Senator John Kennedy exposes a chilling internal memo suggesting justice was paused to protect a political voting bloc. The question isn't just money, it's integrity. We must first address the sheer magnitude of this financial irregularity. The program was designed as a critical lifeline during the uncertainty of the pandemic. Federal funds explicitly allocated to feed children in need. However, investigators uncovered a sprawling network of deceit that defies belief. Over $250 million were funneled away from hungry families and into a complex web of shell companies, luxury vehicles, and real estate holdings. This was not a simple clerical error. It was a systemic failure of oversight on a massive scale. The Department of Justice has charged dozens of individuals, yet for years the flow of funds continued unchecked. The American taxpayer is left asking a fundamental question. How could a misappropriation of this size go unnoticed by the very state agencies tasked with guardianship? The numbers suggest a collapse of administrative duty. The answer, according to Senator John Kennedy, may lie in a calculated political hesitation. On the Senate floor, he presented documents that strike at the heart of administrative neutrality. He cited an internal communication from within the Minnesota Attorney General's orbit, alongside investigators' statements. These records suggest a paralyzing fear among officials, a concern that enforcing the law would trigger intense opposition from the Somali community. This demographic is cited in the memo not merely as a cultural group, but explicitly as a core voting bloc for the ruling party. The implication is profound. It suggests that the wheels of justice were slowed, not by a lack of evidence, but by a surplus of political caution. When electoral strategy seemingly overrides fiscal responsibility, the foundation of public trust begins to crack. Kennedy's exposure of this memo raises the specter of fraud for votes, a trade-off where financial integrity was sacrificed for political stability. Script here. The repercussions of this exposure are vibrating through the Capitol. This is no longer a local news story in Minneapolis. It has become a national case study in governance and accountability. Critics argue that this represents a form of administrative immunity granted to specific groups for political leverage. The focus now shifts to Governor Tim Walz and Representative Ilhan Omar, as calls for a comprehensive federal audit grow louder. This isn't just about recovering lost assets. It is about the integrity of the electoral and judicial systems. Senator Kennedy's address frames the issue clearly. If the law is applied selectively based on voting patterns, then the rule of law itself is compromised. The demand is simple: a complete neutral investigation to ensure that such a systemic failure can never be repeated, regardless of political consequences. The American people deserve to know if their generosity was exploited to secure a ballot box advantage.